San Felipe is, I love it. You know, it's the most abusive, aggressive race course. Of the 280 miles, I would say there's 220 of it that's just pure whoops, pure just hits.
San Felipe is, generally speaking, the shortest race here in the Score season, but longer than the Baja 500 in my mind. The course is brutal. It's fast, it's technical, a lot of whoops, a lot of sand, a lot of places for bottlenecks like Matomi Wash. And I learned a big lesson today in pre-running. You know, Chris and I found a lot of lines, and I learned a big lesson on pre-running today.
This race really comes down to your prep, your setup, your suspension, how you set up your tires, your pits. There's a lot of strategy behind it with fuel. And this race is really about being smart. You really need to hit the throttle and go fast where you know you can, and make moves on lines. There's times where you pull it back to 85, 90% and you make the truck survive, or you help it survive. You know, we've been out for the last, call it 9-10 days, and it was interesting to watch it because every day the lines have developed 2, sometimes 3 times, 3 different parts of each day over the last 4 or 5 days. And I think that's a testament to Score, because you know, you have, what is it, almost 50 trophy trucks, and you got 35, 36 spec teams. You know, it's a record turnout. So this year especially, there's been a ton of change in the course daily, and you gotta be pre-running, you gotta be on your lines, and if you really wanna be competitive, you know, you need to spend time in the Can-Ams or the smaller vehicles where you can turn around to get out and see the lines on the left or right of the course. And then we've been fortunate because we've gone up a couple days and flown the lines and checked everything out. So we're super confident about that. This year is about seat time, this year is about testing, this year is about building a base for us to be competitive. And sometimes to do that, you know, you got to take a couple steps back to go 4 or 5 steps forward. We're not going to be running trophy truck this first race. We're going to be running the spec, and we're actually going to be running it in the spec class. A little disappointed with that, but we had to make some part changes in the truck that we felt were going to be more reliable, and some different setup. We really need time with a 4x4, you know, before we run a full season in that thing, really dial it in and make sure it's completely reliable. So, which we know it is. We just needed the right setup and the right parts and the right testing. Last year, yeah, we put the trophy spec into the trophy truck category. It was a great race. Kept the throttle down 100% pretty much the entire race, but the truck turns really well, did well in the tight. I think the 500 course was really set up for that type of truck. It's not really a step back, we're kind of taking a step to the side, and we're going to run the spec truck in a super competitive class. We're going to see what that's all about here in San Felipe.
I'm super excited. You know, it's something new, it's something different. Chris drives the hell out of the truck, and I think it's going to suit his driving style very well. A lot of momentum in the spec trucks, and I'm super excited to see what we can do.
Commitment course. It's tight, it's technical, it's fast. It really comes down to how much risk you want to take. We're going to play aggressively, but we're going to play a couple things conservative and see where the cards fall.
The pace you have to run to win these days is 100%. You're not trying to save the truck for the next couple 100 miles. It's a full sprint to the end, and you know, it takes a lot of skill, but it also is going to take a lot of luck for the truck to hold up.
have to spend a ton of time tuning. You have to spend a ton of time on setup. It's not invest. You have to pay the money for the right parts and the right setups, and you have to spend the time to do it. So trophy spec in this race is going to just be a pure barroom brawl. 25 guys that can win the race. You know, we hope to be there on the box.
Competition in trophy spec, I think, is actually the best out there. I mean, there's been posts all over social media, you know, what's the toughest class out there, and even the trophy truck guys are saying the spec trucks. Everyone's on a, you know, level playing field, and races are won by seconds. They're not won by minutes, they're not won by hours, they're run by seconds now. And the difference of a good pit versus a pit that, you know, the fuel guy didn't get the great stab is the difference between a win and a fifth now.
We're going to do 2 tires and fuel, and you know, just keep them in contention to get a good finish. Chris knows what he's doing. He pre-ran, he put in the time, he puts in the effort, he's got the right crew, the right guys, more than capable of winning. He just needs a little bit of luck. He's had some bad luck for the last couple of years, so Miller can get it done.
Nailed it. Couldn't be happier, couldn't be prouder of you boys.
Right on, boss.
Chris came in hot and heavy. He was behind some traffic. We had to re-rack a spare on the driver's side rear, so we started with the fuel. He took all 70 gallons. He got 2 good tires now. He's ready to go.
This race probably has, call it 700 or 800 turns in it. I mean, it's incredible, over 280 miles. You know, if you can pick up a 1/10 of a second times 500 times, you're gonna be there. So you gotta know your lines in San Felipe. You gotta go hard to every corner. You gotta break deep, come out, carry momentum, and you've gotta go as hard as you can to the next corner. And I love it. You know, this is super challenging. It's gonna throw sand washes at us, silt, some goat trail stuff, very limited, a lot of washes, a lot of mountain routes, even rock crawling coming down Matomi Wash. So it's gonna be a fun race. I'm really excited. San Felipe is keeping the car together. The suspension is going to be on fire. You know, we have a great setup with SDG for this little trophy spec. It should work really well, you know, but the shocks will get up to 400 degrees. You know, you come out of big whoop fields and then you go into sand washes where you got to turn the car tight and fast. And you know, the suspension feels, the oil's so hot, the shock's so hot. You know, the car leans differently, it acts differently, the back carries out a little bit more. You know, we tune and we do things to try to prepare as much as we can for that change. But at the end of the day, as a driver, you got to be on it.
square edge that was so silted, it was so sandy. We had a tough start, got a flat tire hauling ass over Morelia Junction. Okay, we got changed in about 3 minutes. Finally got going again, but Jason had to put the jack back inside. Jack was flying around at his feet. I was worried about him, so I wasn't getting the speed. We were all over the place on Powerline Road. Finally, I got to the right, pulled back in left, got the speed, got on top again. And from basically the bottom of that wash all the way around, we pushed as hard as we could. We were in the dust 50%, 60% of the race. Probably cost us 10, 15 minutes, but once we got around these guys, clean air. It was awesome. Clean air the whole way, the last 100 miles.
It was good, you know, it was pandemonium, it was chaos. There were so many trucks, and we started pretty deep in the field, so we were trying to hit our pre-run lines, and sometimes that costed us because we were trying to get so far to the one side that we ended up missing some lines, but we passed a lot of trucks. I think we ended up 11th physical after starting almost 30th, so we're happy, we'll take it.
Whoa, 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 whoa. 2 different levels, I cannot relate. You never win if you playing it safe. It's all a game until you get played. You speaking so loud with nothing to say. Hey, I'm betting it down on me. They said they ride for me, and they talk so bad on me. I know there's no friends in this business. That's why I keep my family close. Let's go. Put in work and secure the bag, and then take it back to my foes.
It's been a cold, cold summer. Ice in my veins, but you know I'm about to warm up. Yo, it's been a cold, cold summer. Ice in my veins, but you know I'm about to warm up.
Time will only tell. You can try me if you want.